And I am off. Plug your computer in performance and plug your computer plug your power source. Okay, I'm recording now on my end. I'm happy to turn over what that file looks like whenever we're done, in case it doesn't come out right the way that you're looking for it on your end. Again, just acknowledging that everybody in the video, since I'm now recording on my end, gives approval for me to go ahead and commit to that recording by video and audio. Is that a yes? Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, sorry. Now that we got the legalese out of the way. Good to see you guys have a working one-talk, and I'll explain a little bit more why that becomes an even bigger issue at times. The first part of the training class, I'm going to cover just mechanics of the phone, what button does what, and some of the things that you can do. And then we'll get into the specifics of making a call, transferring a call, conference calls, and things of that nature. Okay. First and foremost, this is the Verizon T46S, which I believe is the phone that most of you have. Let me go ahead and come over here and turn my video off there. Okay. So a couple things that I want to cover. I am not going to spend a lot of time on this part down there. Why? To the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, a keypad. Yay! If we have to cover what a keypad does and doesn't do, this is going to be a really long training class. So for the sake of this discussion, let's just assume everybody in the room knows how to use a keypad. The buttons I want to focus on are going to be the up, down, left, right arrows, the OK button in the middle, and the all-important X button that's just there all by itself. Okay. So there's going to be times that your phone might need to reconnect, if you will, to your server or to the Verizon server. Sometimes phones just, want to act glitchy. I promise you 10 out of 10 times that you call tech support for this, the first thing we're going to ask you to do is, did you unplug it and plug it back in? What are we looking for you to do here? If you put your hand right now on that X button, and hold it down for me, please. Put your hand on the X button and long press. When you do that, it'll pop up, it says reboot the phone. Now, we are not going to reboot the phone, but this is what we're asking you to do when we're asking you, did you turn it off and turn it back on again? Okay? Very simple, easiest way to reboot the phone. Long press the X button, hit OK, and it'll cycle through its program. Another way to turn it off and turn it back on is the, good old-fashioned Flintstones way. Just unplug it from the back. Plug it back in, you're good to go. There's also a way that you can reboot the phone in the portal, and I am happy to cover that with portal training whenever that becomes a thing. So actually, that is my director of operations calling me. Should we bother him for phone training? I'll bother him later. Which is another interesting thing. So this screen tells you a lot. So now, Buchanan 107, that's my director of operations. First he was calling me. He didn't get me, so he went and called one of my coworkers. Okay? So this screen across here can tell you a lot of what's happening, even if it's not necessarily happening to your device. So that's one thing that kind of cool that you guys just saw that. Phone basics also. On these buttons over here to the right, the mute button does what it says it does. Okay, it mutes your half of the conversation. The message button, that is the button you're going to press to get into your voicemail. Has everybody in here already set up their voicemail box or in process of setting up their voicemail box? Anyone?
Most of them.
Most of us.
It'll be set up before Tuesday.
Perfect. How do you do it? You press this button and you follow the nice lady's instructions. It's that simple. When you're ready to retrieve your messages, you do the same thing. You hit that button, put in your passcode, and off you go. Now, I will say that the default passcode for voicemails is the last 5 digits of the phone number of the actual device. Very first question everybody asks is, how do I know my phone number of my physical device? If you don't mind, pick up the handset of the phone that is in front of you. When you pick up the handset, the number that shows up in the upper left-hand corner That is the phone number of that particular device. So if you were to pick up the handset of the device that's in front of you there, it's going to put a phone number up at the top of it. That is the physical phone number of that particular device. Does that make sense to everybody? I leave my voicemail password, those last 5 digits, because it's a lot easier to remember. I don't have to remember my voicemail password. When I press the button and it asks me for it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just the last 5 numbers of what's up here. If you go for a custom voicemail password, which a lot of people do, at some point in time, inevitably, you're going to forget that password. When the person who has admin access to your portal goes to reset that password, it's going to default to those last 5 digits. So it's always helpful to know what the phone number is of the physical device you're at. Now, that is not a published number. Nobody is going to have that number minus the person who's trying to get you to renew your car warranty. Aside from that guy, they seem to have every phone number on the planet. Aside from them, nobody's going to have that phone number unless you give it to them. When you pick up your phone and you make a call out, your system is set to deliver the main phone number of your business. Okay? So that phone number is for you. If you give your direct line to somebody and they call it, understand you are bypassing the call flow. It will ring to your phone and only to your phone. Okay? So I kind of caution people with that. You will need those phone numbers for the next couple of days. After this training, I'm going to tell you guys, play with each other between the phone lines, like practice some of what I'm going to teach you how to do between these phone numbers before they go live. How would you do it? You would actually call the device, the phone number of your device. That way you're not messing around with your normal call flows. Okay? Any questions so far? Comments, concerns? Good to go. So another thing, if you look at just your regular faceplate, up here in the upper left-hand corner, you have a number. That number is the extension of your particular device. I happen to be extension 105. The first 3 buttons on the left-hand side also share that extension name. Why? You have 3 lines available to your use at all times per device. So you can have 3 different things going on. I assure you, in high call volume moments, this will become your best friend, okay? So those top 3 buttons, those are the 3 different lines you can use. Open any one of them, and you get a dial tone, okay? Incidentally, one question I was asked at a previous training, so I want to clarify, is do you have to, I don't ever pick up my handset to do any of this. Doesn't mean that picking up your handset doesn't work. It just means that for the sake of the training, picking up the handset and putting it back down on the phone is a constant sort of a bit of a pain. So with me, I just use the speaker feature for training purposes. I'll clarify that now. Okay, so going through the rest of the buttons. Do you guys have faces that look like this on that phone?
Yes.
Okay, so these are called BLF keys. These are the extensions of the different people that are in your organization. Depending upon how many you have will depend on how many pages this goes through. This bottom right button, it has a 1, 2, 3 beside it. When you press it, that's page 2, that's page 3. Does that make sense? So if you're paging through this, get to the point where you see that you don't have any more people, any blank space that you see is available to be used as a speed dial. However many blank spaces you have is however many options you have for scheduling a speed dial. I strongly encourage you to schedule a speed dial, to program a speed dial for the numbers that you call the most that are not already shown as extensions in your group. Okay, that's going to become very important for one button transfer. Okay, excuse me. We're going to go, oh. There we go. So also, sometimes you'll be kind of going through this quick. You'll fat finger something. I did this when I first started and I kind of freaked out. I ended up on this screen. And I flipped out because I was like, oh, all my things got erased. What happened to all of, the people went away. I don't have, my screen's wrong. And that's when I learned that there's pages. Hey. So that's kind of something. If it doesn't look the way that you are used to seeing it, check the page. Okay. Now some other buttons. I'm going to show you some buttons only to tell you not to touch them. So button number 1 of this is features, right there. Okay. Why do I tell you not to touch this button? Everything that you see there as a feature is already pre-programmed the way that it needs to be inside the portal. If you change it at the phone, you will change it for that user features inside the portal as well. Okay. Some examples of, let me silence that. Some examples of that, of where somebody would use that. Incidentally, D&D button. We're going to click on that because apparently we're having a pretty busy morning. So features, the only one that I've ever used at the phone level is call forward. So if you have somebody in your organization that, let's say that they always man the phone at a certain time for lunch, you can go in here, you can go always forward, use the left and right arrows, enable it, put the phone number in of the number you're wanting it to forward to, and hit save. What'll happen is any calls that come to that device will automatically forward to the phone number that you set in place. I've seen organizations do this when it comes to, like I said, forwarding calls for a specific phone for lunch breaks or breaks in general, things of that nature. Just don't forget to unforward when you're done. How do you do that? You go into features, call forward, click on it, enter, and go back to disabled. Make sense? Some people forward their phone. Go ahead.
Yes, can you forward calls to numbers outside, like to a cell phone number?
You can forward a call anywhere you want it to go. So that would be a yes.
Only.
So, and to be more specific, let's say it's your physical phone and you're wanting to forward it to your own cell phone number. And I don't want to talk out of turn for whatever the primary contact wants, but you can do that, or you can just install the OneTalk app onto your mobile device. What is the benefit? What's the difference? So if you forward it to your cell phone, then when that call rings, the only options you have are whatever your cell phone would do, right? But if you have the OneTalk app on your mobile device, it is the equivalent of having your desk phone in your back pocket. Okay, literally. I can, minus intercom, I can do everything from the app on my phone that I can do at my physical device. That includes transferring between these things, consultative transfer, conference calls, forwarding to somebody's voicemail. You name it, the OneTalk mobile app is your desk phone in your back pocket. So now, whether or not you're allowed to, quote unquote, install the mobile app will depend upon who the primary is of the account. Because if it's not you, when you go to install the mobile app, 1, you'll need the phone number of your actual device. And we all remember we get that number by picking up the handset. But 2, it'll ask you for a PIN code. Whoever the primary is on this account is going to be the email that gets that PIN code number. You will need that PIN code in order to continue to upload the app on your device. Make sense?
Yep.
But again, can you simply forward it to your cell phone? Yes, absolutely. Does it have to be a number inside your Verizon group? No, it does not. Any questions on that? Comments, concerns? Back to features. So anonymous call rejection, forward to voicemail, SMS, intercom, E911 address. Okay, so since these are voice over IP phones, you have to tell the phone where it's physically located. It has no idea. Why is this important for you to double check your E911 address of your devices? If you pick up the phone, if you pick up that phone and you call 911, whatever address is programmed into phone, that's where emergency services is going to go. If that address is not accurate, then they're going to go to the wrong place. So I always tell people, go into features, scroll down till you see E911 address, and make sure that this address is correct. Now, in my particular case, that address is not where I am physically located right now. That address is our office, whereas for me, I am actually working from home at my mom's house. I'll admit it. I like mom's house. Yay. So I'm working from home at my mother's house, and that is not the address of my mother's house. So I would not choose to call 911 from this device. But, for your edification, just make sure that that number is, that address is correct on your phones. Okay. Another fun fact about the phones is, in order for these phones to work, all you need is power and internet. So my physical desk phone, that I'm doing the training off of, I physically have that away from the office. I can take this phone anywhere I want, and as long as I have power and internet, my desk phone will work. So that's very cool, I've found, especially if you have any of your staff working remotely. But the phones don't necessarily have to stay in your office to work. So the rest of the buttons to go. History is self-explanatory. Now, one thing that might kind of that gets a little confusing for people is, do you see this number up here that has a checkbox? It's kind of maybe tiny number, but it has a little checkbox beside it. It says 5. Those are missed calls. Now, if you guys have been seeing, calls have been coming across my phone from our hunt group. Why? Because I am in 2 of the hunt groups that if you press our options on our main number, my extension is one of the extensions that you're going to reach. My phone rang, but I didn't answer it. When that happens, it's going to show as a missed call up here. It doesn't mean that the call was missed entirely. It just means that every phone, so you guys have hunt groups there, and you probably have a group where when it gets forwarded to a certain group, 3 or 4 people's numbers ring simultaneously. All 3 or 4 of those phones are going to get that call, but only one is going to answer. The other 3 phones are going to show a missed call. Don't panic. It doesn't mean the call was missed. It just means that it wasn't answered at that particular phone and that phone rang. How do you get rid of this kind of OCD-inducing little checkbox at the top? Hit history. Here, this shows you all calls, missed calls, placed calls, received calls. I never forward a call anywhere, so mine's blank. But once you click into history and click back, ta-da, my little checkbox is gone. I hate the little checkbox because, again, it makes me feel like I missed something. All of the calls that have come through my phone so far have been answered by my other colleagues. So don't panic if it shows a bunch of missed calls at the top and you're part of a very active hunt group. Okay? Directory. There's a couple of different forms of directories. Okay? The local directory, that's the directory specific to this device. So this would be contacts that you have, business contacts, whatever your preference is. There's a couple of different ways to do a directory. The easiest way, if you have a large directory, is you can contact Megan and she can send you a spreadsheet and you upload your contacts to it, and then we upload it into the portal for you. Now, local directory, like I said, is only accessible from this particular phone. A remote directory is accessible from every phone in your group. Why is a remote directory, or when would a remote directory be advantageous? If you guys have a long list of vendors that everybody in the office works with on a regular basis, that might be a list that you would upload into a remote directory. That way every phone could one button click access it. Does that make sense? As far as your own local directory goes, again, we can do a spreadsheet upload, or if you just feel like you have nothing else better to do with your day, go ahead and enter, go ahead and add, and put in everybody independently. Yay! You'll notice that my directory is blank. So the reason my directory is blank is most of the people that I would call, I either have already on speed dial or they're one of my BLF keys. So I haven't had the time to upload anybody individually. And most of what I would upload would be personal contacts instead of business ones. So I just left mine alone. This is a personal preference for you guys. Okay? DND, it does what it says it does. When it's on, you have a big red and white box across your thing that says do not disturb. When it's off, voila. Now, as you've noticed, D&D being on does not stop calls coming to your device. It simply stops your device from ringing. Okay, so being on Do Not Disturb, if a call were to come through to your phone, it is still going to go to your phone. So a lot of people have asked, well, does that mean where do my calls go? They still go to your phone. You're just not going to hear it ring. They'll probably get dumped into your voicemail. Okay, any questions so far? I'm trying to zip through the basics. Do what? I'm sorry, I had a delay. Sorry. Menu. Okay. So there's a lot of different options with menu, but some of them are redundant to me. For example, directory, history, and message. I do not know why you would want to click the menu button to get to these things when history, directory, and message is right there. However, again, if you're just feeling frisky for the day, you can also reach them through these areas. Now, everybody see that fun little number 2 one that's called the blacklist? This does exactly what it said it says. This does what it says it does, okay? But the blacklist is specific to device. So just because I've blacklisted a number doesn't mean that every phone in there is also going to have that number blacklisted, okay? Now, it looks like you guys are all kind of getting along in a very nice group kind of thing in the conference room. I don't think anybody in there hates each other, hopefully. Let me tell you a fun story of something we ran into with a customer. So an employee of an organization that will remain nameless called in indicating that nothing was working on his phone. He couldn't transfer calls. He couldn't forward to anybody. He just couldn't. Nothing worked. After a couple of hours of troubleshooting, we came to realize that the other 30, 40 plus lines in the organization, every single other employee had blacklisted his number. Now, that is not the first place that we thought to look, because who does that? And then that's a very awkward conversation to have with the powers that be at an organization, that you have an employee that everybody else has decided to blacklist. So I'm just going to say, if you don't like each other, perhaps blacklist is a different option. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, please be careful of the numbers you put in your blacklist. You can, of course, always control it. Just because you add a number in there doesn't mean you can't take a number out. Okay? Now, history, exactly the same thing you saw before. Messages, same thing. Now let's get down to the fun stuff. We're going to go over here to basic. Everything I'm about to cover is personal preference. Okay? Your personal preference. However, I'm going to caution you on some things, and I'm going to show you why. Language. Please leave this English. Why? Because the phone is not a translator, which means if you change the language, it changes it on everything. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in the room. So I'm going to say that a minimum of 3 of you are going to test this theory when you're playing with the phone on your own. And I'm going to caution you to do that, and here's why. And it's a mix of both guys and girls. They're like, I want to know what this looks like. Anybody in here read Chinese traditional? Do you know your phone well enough to get out of this? Because this is what happens. Everything becomes, other than your little link things, everything becomes that language. So if you don't know the phone well enough and you change the language, guess who's calling support to try to figure out how to get back to where they were to change it back to English?
We
People are like, I'm not calling anybody. I'm just going to keep pressing buttons and see what happens. But yes, that is what it looks like. I might have done this a few times. You think? And when it comes back, I'm like, what did you do to your phone? So just so that people know what it looks like, here's another one that everybody always asks to see. There, that's what Russian looks like. Now that you've seen it, don't play. Not unless you really know your phone and you know how to get out of what it is that you're doing. Sound good? We played with the language one? And I know there's at least 2 or 3 that are going to continue to play with it afterwards. I got money on it. Time and date. This is, again, personal preference to a degree. Leave your general settings alone. Okay, they're under SNTP settings. Go ahead and leave that alone. Also leave this alone. DHCP time. What does that mean? That means that the time on your phone is set to the time on your server. Okay. Time and date format. This is where people come down to personal preference. I prefer 24-hour clock. Some people can only deal with 12. Use your up and down arrow. Use your left or right arrow to make this change. Same thing with date format. Left and right arrows. There's a bunch of different formats in there. Knock yourself out. You're only making that change on your physical device. Okay? Let's go back. Same thing with display. Backlight. Right now, I'm in an incredibly dark room. So I have my backlight set down to very low. If I turn it up, it can go as high up as 10. You notice the screen starts to get really bright. I can't stare at a bright screen like that all day. And 1 is like kind of almost impossible to see. So my preference is on number 3. That's what I usually keep it at. Contrast. This is never going to change. It's a no exposure contrast. Wallpaper. Okay, so I have mine set as black. Yours is probably that default gray. There's maybe, 7 or 8 options through here where you can actually change the color of your screen to these fun little, like orange, mandarin something. There's a blue, there's a green, again, what you change it to is a matter of personal preference. So again, that's menu, basic, display. Screensaver, this works exactly like your cell phone. You tell it how long before it times out, and then you tell it what to do when it times out. Mine is 30 minutes. 30 minutes of inactivity, and my phone is going to quote-unquote go to sleep. When that happens, the only thing you'll see on the screen is the display clock and date and time. Okay? I tell people leave that enabled. That way it doesn't look like your phone has simply stopped working. Click back. Click back again. Let's go down to sound. Okay. So I'm going to turn up my, let me go back, exit, exit. So those volumes, if the phone is on the hook and the active call isn't going and you move those keys, it's changing the volume of the ringtone. Okay. If you're actively on a call and you move those keys, you're changing the call volume. Now, you can change the ringtone, and there's 2 types of ringtone. So, menu, basic, sound. There's the ringtone of the phone, and then there's the keytone. What is the keytone? This is what I call the boop feature. Keytone is, if you press the buttons on your phone, does it make the little boop, 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 boop? Some people have to have the boop noise because it tells them that they actually pressed the button. Other people don't have the boop noise. I'm a non-booper. I don't like the boop. So I come over to keytone, I disable it, I save. Now when I press my keys, I no longer hear the boop, 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 boop. So this is something you can have a lot of fun with your coworkers if you are in close proximity and you know that your coworker is a non-booper and you don't really care. Just go ahead and turn yours to boop and turn it up and watch them want to, put something in your coffee. I'm just saying, I cannot advocate physical violence of any sort on a recorded call. However, you get the general idea. So that's how you turn the boops off. Oop. Well, okay. Notice if you don't do anything for a while, it times out back to the regular screen. We're going to go basic. We're going to go back down to sound. Now we're going to cover ringtone. You have 2 types of ringtone. The ringtone that happens when the device just rings, and then a ringtone that you can set specifically if somebody calls your extension directly. Mine are both set the same, or else I'm going to start going crazy. But some people prefer them to be different so that they know where the call is coming from. If you click on just common, okay, there's several options. Okay. Can anyone explain to me the problem with this ringtone? Now, you laugh, although it is obvious to you, you laugh. Why? Inevitably, somebody will accidentally or intentionally select this ringtone and then complain that their phone isn't working. Well, that's because if it's on silent, it's not going to make any noise. I know why this WAV file is available in the phone. It's to disable a noise that another option makes. But I don't know why it is available in all places that sound is available. Does that make sense? So I really wish that it wasn't an option under ringtone, but it's kind of, again, an all or nothing. So all of the WAV files available to the phone are available across all of the features that would be able to access sound. So just be wary of the silent ringtone. I'm going to go back. Oh, back. Menu. Basic. You're never going to deal with change lock pin or phone lock. Okay, basically, yes, you can lock the phone with a PIN code. That's something that's accessible from inside the portal. You're not really going to mess with that, hopefully. Bluetooth, this requires a Bluetooth adapter. Okay, and it'll tell you no Bluetooth adapter found. If you look at the back of your phone, you see a little USB plug connector port in the back of it. That would be where that adapter gets plugged in. Okay, same thing with Wi-Fi. So your phones have the ability to connect over Wi-Fi instead of through the Ethernet cable. Thanks to my boss frying the Ethernet connection inside my device, I cannot connect to a cable with mine. I have to be connected via Wi-Fi. There's a little dongle that goes into the USB port in the back that connects me to Wi-Fi, and it's as simple as connecting a phone. You turn it on, you go to available networks, put in... I'll give you one guess as to which one is my mom's network. I love my mother. She's great. And off you go. I don't think any of your guys' phones have the Wi-Fi dongles, but that's where you would go for that. Okay? Last but not least, so advanced settings, again, you're not going to mess with it, and even if you try, it requires a password that you don't have. Let's talk about this guy. And again, as you guys noticed at the beginning of this call, even though you guys were recording and I am now recording, I'm going to start by saying I am not an attorney, nor am I qualified in any way, shape, form, or fashion to provide you legal advice of any kind. I have no idea what your state or locale's specific statutes are on recording phone calls. So I constantly urge people to get everybody's permission on the call before doing this. Once you have that permission, you go to, again, main, come to USB record, and hit enter. That little USB port in the back of your phone, insert a flash drive. It will pull up an option for you to record the call. When the call is done, you simply take the flash drive out of the back, put it in a computer, and upload it. Where have I seen this be beneficial? Very much, actually, in settings such as the one you're in now, but let's assume that it's a conference call. And I've seen architectural firms, for example, where there was multiple departments working on the same project and everybody needed certain specs. Everybody got everybody's permission on the conference call. The call was recorded. At the end of the call, they uploaded the recording and emailed it to everybody who was on the call so that everybody had a copy of the specs, the flow, the Gantt chart, everything that they needed to move forward in their project. So I simply caution again, make sure you have everybody's permission, but this is where you would go to record a call through your device. Any questions? Comments? Concerns? Cool. All right. Some basics. I'm going to show you how to do a speed dial, how to program a speed dial. Okay. Remember I told you you can use any one of the open options here. What do? Take the button, press it down and long press. It's going to pull up type. Use your directional arrows to the left or the right until you get to speed dial. Use the down arrow to go to label. Label is the name of this speed dial. Now the system works like those old flip phones, right? So for a C, I'd have to type 1, 2, 3. Then I can do lowercase letters. H, 1, 2. E, 1, 2. R, 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Y, 1, 2, 3. And then L, 1, 2, 3. If you need special characters for whatever reason, or you just decide you want to make the name look cute, the asterisk on the bottom left of the phone, you keep pressing that, and that gives you all the weird stuff like, you know, the ampersand, plus, minus, $sign, things like that. Everybody cool with that? Use the down arrow, put in the number, hit save, boom. This is now a one-touch speed dial. I encourage you to do this with the phone numbers you call the most. This again becomes especially handy during conference calls and really, really handy during one-button transfer, which is going to be the first thing we start going into for training. Any questions so far? Yay! The coffee's kicking in, can you tell? Woo! Okay, so now we're going to start, and literally I'm going to go down the back of that cheat sheet that you have in front of you, and I'm going to demonstrate the different options of doing things. One of the cool things about the Verizon One Talk phones is one-button transfer. What does that mean? That means that I can transfer a call from my phone to anybody that I have in one of those speed dial links, and I never have to put my caller on hold. Okay? What does that look like? It looks like this. Come here. So incidentally, I never remember my phone number of this device. So 592013330. Even I do it. Okay, so I'm going to call my device. I'm on the phone with my customer. Okay, there we go. So customers called in and they asked to speak to Brooklyn. Okay, one moment, please. Done. I'm now ringing to Brooklyn's extension. Does that make sense? Now, Brooklyn sees that this call is coming over as a transfer, but she has no idea who the person is. I only do one-button transfer in cases where, like, especially if somebody says, hey, I was just talking to Susan. Or, hey, I just got disconnected from Bob. You know, they know who they're trying to reach. That's pretty much the only time I use the one-button transfer, okay? Why? Because, I don't know, if you're anything like me, you kind of want a heads up about what's about to come your way. You know, I feel like a cold transfer is very cold. So I'm not a fan of using it per se, unless it's a case like that, for example. Hey, I was just on the phone with Brooklyn. Can you patch me through? Sure, no problem. I did not have to put my customer on hold. All I had to do was press a button. Okay? Make sense? Now, you can transfer.
Once you press that button, do you hang up?
No, that's it. The call went. See, watch.
Like it's gone. Yeah. Okay.
So this is me calling in again. Watch my extensions. You see where it says the little green there? Right? Yes. So I have my callers on the other line. All I do, I don't hit hold. I don't hit anything else. I just go and look. This appeared, and it shows you calls for pickup. This call is now ringing over to Brooklyn 104.
Okay.
And now I'm on the phone with Brooklyn. Hey, Brooklyn.
Hey.
That is one button transfer. Now we're going to bother Brooklyn here again in a second when I go to show you consultative transfer, which is the option most people tend to use. Brooklyn, I'll call you right back. Thanks for participating.
No problem. Bye.
Bye. Excuse me. The other form of transfer, and when it comes to direct transfer, is kind of extra button wise. And the only reason I would do this is if you don't have them saved as a one button transfer. You can technically transfer a call to any number. It doesn't have to be a call necessarily inside your organization. Okay? Does somebody there have, actually, I'll do you one. What is the phone number of that phone that's sitting in front of you?
It's 828.
So here's what I'm going to do.
979.
Wait, hold on. Here's what I'm going to do. So in this case, we're going to hit the transfer button. Okay, my customer is listening to hold music. Can everybody hear that? So my customer's listening to hold music. What's the number again?
828. 979. 659.
6 what?
559.
That's me. Yeah, just hit the little one button.
Hello?
There you go.
Hello? There you go.
I muted it so that there's not a bunch of cross echo. But yes, I can transfer a call from my phone to any phone I want to, provided I know the phone number. Okay, so if you need to transfer a call outside of your organization, that is when you would hit transfer. I'll show you one more time. You're going to hit transfer. Now in this case, yours was 8 something. 828. 828. What was the rest of that number?
99.
99. 99 what? Oops. Yeah, if you wait too long, it goes, ah! Shared line. Nope. Stop it. Anyway, you get the general idea, yes? Fighting with my phone over here. So yeah, and that's the only time where you would have to press the button. You can dial the extension of the phone number and then just press direct. Okay, and then that's how you transfer the numbers outside of your, and again, you can do it inside as well. It doesn't really matter. A lot of times people use this feature if they're going to send it to somebody's voicemail, not voicemail, somebody's cell phone. You know so-and-so is out of the office and they're forwarding calls to their voicemail or to their cell phone. That's an option. Any questions on that? Cool.
So say I transferred a call, but I transferred it to the wrong extension. Can I pick that call up?
Yes. Yes and no. So if you one button transferred it, then no.
Okay.
However, if you did the other type of transfer, if you did the one that we're getting ready to cover, the consultative transfer, this will be the one you do the most. And in this case, you will know that you went to the wrong extension. Now, for the next few portions of this training, you will have to know each other's extensions. Okay? If you do not already have that information, I can show, I guess Miss Stephanie, you'd probably be the one. I can show you how to get a really easy extension list that has the extensions, the first and last name, and the phone number, the device phone number of who it goes to. And then you can kind of share that amongst yourselves. Because you will need to know each other's extensions for the next parts of these training. And it's going to answer your question that you just asked me. So Consultative transfer is when you're not trying to surprise anybody with a transfer. So you want to talk to the person that you're trying to transfer to first. What does that look like? So this is my customer calling in. Okay, I'm talking to my customer, and my customer needs to talk to somebody in support. I know that that call is going to go to Brooklyn. First thing I check for is there a green light over here? Green light means that they're not already on their phone. It doesn't necessarily mean they're available, but they're not already on their phone. Okay? How does consultative transfer work? I do transfer, I do her extension, and then I do consult. The entire time her and I are doing this, my customer, can you hear that? My customer is hearing hold music. Hey, Brooklyn.
Hey.
Okay, so now Brooklyn and we are talking on my device. We're consulting. The entire time, the customer is still on hold. Okay? And then Brooklyn says, I say, Brooklyn, I've got customer XYZ on the phone. Are you ready to take the call?
Yep.
Send them on over. Transfer. My line is now gone. And my customer is now on the phone with Brooklyn. Hello, Brooklyn.
Hey.
Now, I'll call you right back, Brooklyn. Thank you. Now, to answer your question, what happens if Brooklyn is not where you want to go? Right? Oh, crap. There we go. So, Brooklyn's not where you want to go. And you do this transfer. Consult. And you realize you dialed the wrong extension when the person answers. So, customer's on hold. Brooklyn answers. Brooklyn?
Yep.
Okay, so Brooklyn answers, and I'm like, oh, goodness, I'm sorry, Brooklyn. I wasn't trying to reach you. I'm sorry. And Brooklyn's like, no big deal. I hit end call. This does not hang up my customer. It only hangs up Brooklyn from that call. Does that make sense? So then I would go, let's say I needed to go to Dawn instead. Transfer. That extension, consult. You will find yourself doing this if people that you're trying to reach aren't answering their extensions. You can, if I get her voicemail, I can hit end call and try another person. And the whole time, my customer is still hearing hold music. Does that make sense? Does that answer that part of your question?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this instance, let's assume that Brooklyn's light is red. That means she's on a call. And so I tell the customer, Mr. and Mrs. XYZ, who's asking to speak to Brooklyn, I inform them, look, Brooklyn seems to be on another call right now. Would you like me to put you through to her voicemail? Sure, that'd be great. There's two ways you can do this, but only one of them makes sense. One way, you can just one button transfer them to Brooklyn, and after so many rings, they'll get her voicemail. But if you already know that Brooklyn is on the phone, this is how you can transfer somebody to voicemail. Again, I'm not pressing the hold button. They're already on hold. Transfer **5 and the extension you want it to go to, and then you can either hit pound for send or hit the OK.
Your call has been transferred. Thank you.
Is not available.
You ever hear that?
Please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1.
My phone told me that the call was transferred, and my customer went straight to voicemail. Any questions on that? We good so far? Yay! Consultative transfer. Again, it's going to be the thing that you're going to want to practice the most across your devices. So definitely get kind of prepared for that, because it does take that extra button to do. It's extra button. Hit this. I want to talk to so-and-so. transfer the extension you want to talk to, and then consult. Customer on hold. And I'm ringing into Brooklyn. All right, thank you, dear. When she's ready to take the call, I hit transfer, and off it goes. I'm now talking to Brooklyn over here on this phone. You there, Brooklyn?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, everybody get that? Yay. Did I lose anybody? Okay, sorry, there's a little bit of delay in my screen. Sorry about that. Okay, moving right along. Conference calls. I'm going to bet that you guys do quite a few of these. Okay, how does a conference call work? This is the only time where you're going to have to put the customer actually on hold. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, I'm going to start the conference bridge this time actually from my phone. Okay, so I'm going to open a line. And what number have I been dialing a lot of? Oh, this one. I've been receiving calls. Apparently this is my cell phone number. So this is ringing into my cell phone. I answer it. Mute this. So in answering it, okay, hi guys. Sorry, we had a bit of a power thing. Trying to find the... Well, this is going to look great on the recording. There's a bit of a storm out this way right now. Yeah. There we go. Hi, I'm back. My apologies. Didn't see that one coming. Okay, conference calls. My apologies for that. So, again, open a line. I'm going to call my cell phone. Here's my phone ringing. I'm going to answer it. I'll mute that. Now, I need to conference other parties in. Okay? How do you conference people in? This is the only time that you will put your customer on hold first. Press hold. Open another line. Okay? In that other line, where's your 828 number? Back. What's the, you know what? I'm going to bother Mom. We're going to bother my mom. Just answer it, please, Mom. Okay. So, Mom, you there?
Yes?
Okay. So now I have my mom on the phone, and my other customer, they're listening to hold music. Right? How do I bridge them together? I hit more. I hit conference. Watch what happens to my two lines. I am down back to one line, and I am conferenced in on that one line. Does that make sense? Now I'm going to conference your phone there into this call. So I'll need that phone number again here a second. We're going to rinse and repeat. Hold. What's that phone number again, please?
979 6559.
6559. Off it goes. As soon as you answer, more conference. Conference. Why are you not conferencing? Okay, so this is supposed to work. Hopefully you get the general idea. Let me try this again. Okay, end call for everybody. Let me just drop everybody. Let me start by calling you guys. 28. Oh, there it is. Yay. Okay, let me call you first.
Hello?
Hello. Now, I want to put you on hold, open another line, and I'm going to call my cell phone. Okay. More. And you're listening to hold music. We are now on the same conference together. Okay. Now, to add yet another person, hold, open another line. We're going to call my mom. And you and I, incidentally, we can talk. So now there's two of us in this conference. We can keep talking while that other line is being called. So now there's mom there. More. Conference. Now, all three of us are on this one call. You can do this for a maximum of 6 callers.
Okay.
And it's literally rinse and repeat. Hold. And when it's on hold, the people already in the conference can keep talking to each other. Open another line. We're going to bother my director of operations, since he's been bothering me this morning. See if he answers. We have a winner. Chris, you're about to be on a conference call. Now we're on a conference call. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Buchanan. He's our director of operations. And of course, my mom. And then me. Again, up to 6 people. Any questions on conference calls?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Now, here's a rule about conference calls. So let's say that me personally, I'm done with this conversation, and I want you guys to continue talking to my mom and Chris. Since I am the conferencing bridge, if I hang up the phone, I will disconnect everybody else in the call. So if the other people on the call need to keep talking to each other, you just need to mute your mic and sit there until they're done. So keep that in mind. The conferencing bridge controls who stays connected. Now, Chris and Mom and myself on my separate phone, we can all drop off anytime we want to and not impact the rest of the conference. But since the conference happened from this device, if I hang up this device, that's it. I've disconnected everybody. Make sense?
Yes.
6 callers max. Conference calling is fun. A question you had also asked earlier about calls ringing in. So if you noticed, there have been several calls that have been ringing in across the screen that aren't necessarily for me, right? But let's say I know that individual is out. You can, it's really simple. You pick up your handset or open your speaker, however you want to do it, and press **98 and OK. You will automatically grab the call that has been ringing the longest amount of time. Does that make sense?
So when you were talking about before where everybody is across the top of the screen, is that something that has to be shown on all the phones, or can that feature be disabled?
That's something, so the honest answer is I don't know. I want to say that feature is kind of specific to your BLFs. There is one thing, and the BLFs are these, the people, the ones that look like people, right?
Right.
The honest answer is I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you and try to make something up, but I will find out. Nobody's really ever asked that before. I personally like it because I can sit and go, oh, okay, well, you know, Brooklyn just got a call, so there's no point in me bothering her for the next training thing. You know, one, I saw the call come through to support, and two, I can see her little red button. So, but I mean...
Yeah, we like the red button.
Yeah, I love the red button thingy because you can see instantly. So I know that Mackie's on a call, Megan's on a call, and Brooklyn's on a call. So if I was going to bother anybody, it's going to be, you know, Dawn or Susan or Jack or somebody who can, you know, there might stand a better chance of them actually answering the phone. So, but I will find out. So your question is there any way to disable the information coming across the screen of one number going to another or a transfer going to another, correct?
Correct. Right.
I will find this out for you.
Activity for our...
Do what?
We only want to see the activity for our own personal phone.
I will see what I can do. I've never had somebody make that request, so I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say that it can't be if you're using BLF, but I don't know. We'll find out. Any questions on conference calls or call pickup?
No, I think we're good there.
Okay. Call park. So I'm going to explain call park in a couple of different ways. First and foremost, the number one question people ask is what's the difference between call park and putting a caller on hold? That answer is simple. If you put a caller on hold, you can only pick up the call from the device that you put it on hold at. Okay? So if I put a caller on hold at my physical desk phone and I have to run clean across the office to get the answer to their question, that customer will have to wait on hold until I run back to my desk and pick them up off of hold at that particular phone. Call park allows you to park a call to any extension in your group. You can park it to your own phone or you can park it to somebody else's phone. One of the key features of call park, though, is in order to retrieve the parked call from a phone, you have to know the extension it was parked to. The only person who's going to know the extension it was parked to is the person who parked the call. Does that make sense? So this is where I caution people on this. Again, this is something you'll have to know people's extensions. What does a parked call look like? It looks like this. And let's say my customer has a question and I'm needing the information from somebody in the warehouse. I can't get anybody to pick up the phone. So here's what I would do. And this is where the cheat sheet has too many steps. Hit more. Hit park. Listen to the nice lady.
Please dial the number where you want to park your call, followed by pound, or dial pound to park the call against your number.
So I'm going to park this call against my number for right now.
Your call has been parked. Thank you.
Customer is hearing hold music. I run clean across to creation to get my answer. Instead of having the customer wait on hold on park for me to come back to my phone, I can pick up any phone in the group. I can dial **88 and my extension 105 and hit OK, and I can grab that call. I don't have to be at my desk to get this call back. Since I'm at my desk, I hit retrieve, and boom, the call is back to me. I'm now talking to my customer again. Let's say I wanted to park the call to Brooklyn's extension. Same deal. More, park. Follow the nice lady's instructions.
Please dial the number where you want to park your call, followed by pound, or dial pound to park the call against your number. Your call has been parked. Thank you.
So I have now parked this call against Brooklyn's extension. Let's assume, and then I send Brooklyn a little thing, hey, I parked you a call online, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you notice that there is no active call here. None of my lines are active. This call has been sent to Brooklyn's extension and it's parked there. It's simply waiting for Brooklyn to do something with it. If Brooklyn does not do anything with it after a set period of time, I think it's around 60 seconds, it will ring back to my phone. Your caller doesn't just disappear into the ether somewhere. It will ring back to the device that initiated the park so that you can grab that call back, tell your customer, sorry, Brooklyn's not answering her extension. Is there something I can do for you? Or would you like to get to her voicemail? Different options. Now, do you see anywhere on my phone where I can take that call back from Brooklyn? It doesn't show me any way whatsoever to retrieve this call. This is where I would dial **88 Brooklyn's extension and OK. I am now back on the phone with my customer. See the echo? Remember, though, I had to know the extension that call got parked at. Who's the only person who's going to know that? The person who did the parking. Did I lose anybody with this?
I think we're good.
Can you park multiple calls to one person?
Sure. But if you're not telling them that they have multiple calls to deal with, then they're just going to sit on hold and then ring back to your phone if that person doesn't grab. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can park every single call that comes through to my phone to one extension if I want to. This feature I see used a lot in organizations that have overhead paging, because somebody will park a call to, let's say the shop is extension 112, hypothetically. The person who parked it to extension 112 will get on the overhead page and say, shop, you have a call parked on extension 112. Because the shop isn't going to know, right? And the only person who knows where it went is the person who did it. So if there's a way to mass communicate through overhead page or something along those lines, then yes, that's another manner in which I have seen businesses use this feature. Why do I prefer call park? I prefer call park over hold because I don't have to run back to my phone to deal with the customer's issue. If I run into my director of operations office and get the answer I want, I can dip into anywhere else that there is a one-talk phone in our group, **88, my extension, and I can answer that call and get that customer taken care of without them having to wait any longer on hold than they have to. That is why I prefer call park over hold. Any questions on that? Yes. Yeah. So last but not least, the voicemail. So pretty simple. If you haven't set it up already, go to your phone, press that button, follow the instructions. Any questions? Do you guys have any questions on anything we've covered so far? Keep in mind, write down each other's phone numbers for your devices. Spend the next couple days between now and when you port practicing doing these things, especially practicing consultative transfer and conference and the call park. Those are the three things that tend to be, bumps that people, I guess the highest learning curve, if you will. The rest of it's very, very self-explanatory. I tell people, don't be brave. It's okay to have the cheat sheet in front of you. This is my, I don't know, umpteenth phone training. I never do it without having that sheet in front of me. So I don't try to play a hero. I have the memory of a goldfish. It's like, ooh, round the bowl, ooh, hey. So your cheat sheet is your friend. And Miss Stephanie, if you would like an extension list with names and phone numbers of the powers that be inside your office, I am happy to email that to you when we get off of this call. Just give me a few minutes to pull it from your portal.
Okay.
Any questions? Well, then, thank you everybody so much for your time. Sorry about the earlier power glitch. That was unfortunate. I am going to end the recording here and then see what it gives me about being able to upload it and send it on to you. And if you have any questions in reference to, your phone training, you have my email. Please don't hesitate to shoot me a question. Other than that, if you have questions about call flow or things like that before you go live, definitely reach out to Megan and she can assist you. But if there's nothing else, okay, I'm going to say thank you very much for your time and attention and for your patience, and everyone have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.